This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. Hey, what's up, and welcome to Q&A, the show where I take your questions and answer them here. These are the questions that I like to answer after the game. Many of you have a ton of questions after the game. So it's time to get into it. Also, a programming note, this video is going to be going up late. Part of the reason why all the videos are late today is I've been working on the film breakdown for Deshaun Watson and the offense pretty much for like the last 12 hours. So in between me dropping those other videos, I've been working on that, taking notes on the tape, editing stuff, getting stuff ready for that film breakdown. So that's going to be a very long video. I already got 37. We're going to be over 40 plays that we're going to go over in that to get a real clear picture of what went wrong, what went right, what needs to happen, and what doesn't need to happen in order for the quarterback position to improve. And we're going to start here with a question. So that's tomorrow. That'd be tomorrow, probably the 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock video. But this question is from JF, who says, "Hey Q, what are your thoughts on Grant Delpit's developmental trajectory? Watching him play these last two games kind of reminds me of how Palomalo used to just fly around. I feel like if he stays on this current trajectory, we could have our own version of that, minus the wild hair. Appreciate the excellent work." I wouldn't go that far, and I wouldn't go that far with anybody. Look, there are players I refuse to compare somebody to unless they are like almost Hall of Fame caliber already, right? I'm not going to ever compare a linebacker to Ray Lewis. I'm not ever going to compare a safety to Ed Reed. I'm not ever going to compare a safety to Troy Polamalu. I'm not ever going to compare a wide receiver to Jerry Rice. And I'm not ever going to compare Grant Delpit to Troy Polamalu, right? Like that can't happen. That's way too much. What you've seen from Grant Delpit, though, has been top of the league safety play. He's been able to play in the slot. He's been able to play near the middle of the field. He's been able to play near the line of scrimmage. He's been able to play deep safety. He's been excellent in all those forms. He's been a playmaker. It's really encouraging, and I think that's really good for Grant Delpit that he's playing at that high of a level, right? I think PFF has him as one of the best safeties in the NFL right now, along with Jesse Bates. He's having himself a hell of a start to the year. Hopefully he can continue this out, because if he can, he's going to get paid. I don't know by who, hopefully the Browns, but he's going to get paid. CTG says, "I'm concerned. Why didn't we see the test the Steelers secondary with intermediate passes that Deshaun is comfortable with? I think week 3 will be very telling to what the strategy will be and what degree of trust between Kevin Stefanski and Deshaun Watson." They did try to test the Steelers with intermediate passes that Deshaun Watson is comfortable with. The issue was, and sometimes the Steelers did things to slow the progressions down for Deshaun to make him not on time. Other times the Steelers got pressure that made Deshaun have to come off of those reads. And the Steelers just did a good job executing their defensive game plan versus the Cleveland Browns. The Browns tried to do everything that everybody on Twitter is saying that they should have tried to do. They tried to. I watched it. I know they did. It's more or less Pittsburgh made it really difficult for them to execute. And also there were things that the Browns were doing to themselves when it comes to the execution, the players on the field that weren't making their lives easier, between, some bad routes being run, not getting the best drops that you can get for Deshaun, not getting the best throws that you can get, and not protecting the best. It was a combination of things that led to that kind of a mess that happened on Monday night. So, a lot of people are trying to, and I'm not saying CCG is trying to do this, but a lot of people are trying to simplify and make the issue for Monday one thing. Oh, it was this guy I don't like, or it was this guy I don't like, or it was this thing I don't like, or it's that they didn't do this thing that I like them to do. Football is rarely that simple. And the truth is that a lot of things in every play went into why it went that way. And the cold truth is that everybody's got to be better than that. Like, there's not anybody who walks away without a significant portion of the blame for that on Monday night. Gory Blue says, at this point, I really think we need to move on from Kevin. Bring in a new offensive coordinator that will call plays. However, this won't happen until the end of the season. We have a lot of football left. If you have to pick an OC for Deshaun, how would you go for it for the fit with DW4 in his offense? This isn't about, look, Deshaun struggles on Monday night. I'm convinced, or not about the fact that he doesn't fit in his offense. It's not. The struggles were because Deshaun Watson just simply wasn't playing good enough. It's not because the offense didn't have things open. It's not because the offense did not structure things around him properly. Most of the times he dropped back, somebody was open. Most of the time he dropped back, something happened, right? It's more of a question of, hey, what happened with the protections? That's more or less the issue. I don't think that you're going to find an offensive coordinator who's going to be that much better of a fit for Deshaun Watson. I don't think fit's the problem right now. I think that's an excuse. I think that's a cope that we can go to. Oh, maybe it's the fit. He's fine. It's the fit. It's not. It's partly he's not seeing things as clear as you want him to see it. Partly he's a little bit easier to confuse than you would like right now. Partly he's getting out the pocket when he doesn't really have to at times. Partly the protections aren't holding up nearly as well as you want. That's a huge part of it. So the scheme, I know everybody loves to use scheme unilaterally as if like if the second you don't complete a pass, it's scheme. That's the problem. It's not the scheme. It's not the offense. It's not his fit in the offense. It is simply a matter of execution. That's it. And the question isn't whether he fits in the offense. The question is, can Deshaun Watson execute this offense? Because the fit's not the problem. It's the execution that has been lackluster from the offensive line, from the wide receivers, from the quarterback. The fit ain't the issue. And I'm stretching, leaving the wide receivers in there. It's really been the tight ends, the offensive line, sometimes the running backs and pass protection, and it's been Deshaun. It's an execution problem, not a scheme issue. I know if it was a scheme issue, everybody would feel better because that's easier to fix. We could just run different plays. We could just change up how we look at things. And then whoop-de-doo, magically do Deshaun Watson's back to looking like 2020. It's not the case, man. It's not the case. I think there are a lot of quarterbacks who could have came in yesterday, well, not yesterday, on Monday Night Football with that game plan, with that scheme, and played well. Not the scheme. Not saying Deshaun's doomed and he's never going to have a good game again. That's not what I'm saying either. But I am saying at this point, it's not time to point fingers at the scheme. It's time to point fingers at the player. Execution. Like the execution's been the issue more so than anything. And I'm not saying the scheme's been perfect. But when I watch the tape, when I look at the film, I'm not sitting here like, man, what are the Browns doing? What are they running? It makes no sense. How can they expect to win football games? Like, I feel that way when I watch Matt Canada. Because I'm like, what are you trying to do here? Like, it don't even make sense what you're trying to run. And that's not how I feel when I watch the Browns. It's very clear what they're trying to do. It's very clear what they're trying to attack. And it's very clear that they're having success attacking what they want to attack. What is also makes clear, and I'm trying to be very careful with how I word this because I know people like to take things out of context. What is also clear is that the execution around the football has been bad. The offensive line, not good. Deshaun Watson, not good. The tight ends, not good. Running backs, outside the run game, ain't been great. So as fast as we're willing to jump on Kevin, because that's easier, because you could just get rid of Kevin. You can't just get rid of Deshaun. Hey, man, it's going to be up to Deshaun to fix this, because right now the problem is partly he's not executing well enough. The offensive line needs to fix this, because if you just get a clean line and you get Deshaun, and if Deshaun can just speed things up by like a quarter second, you win that game by 40. The scheme didn't cost you that game, brother. There were a couple play calls that I didn't love, but it wasn't the scheme. CT Bigsby says, hey, Q, I appreciate you talking me off the ledge at the Monday night. Obviously terrible losing Chubb. What positives can come of this? Did this force Deshaun and Stefanski to work out the kinks? I find it hard to believe that Watson wouldn't be able to get back to an elite level eventually. I mean, like, look, they've had an incentive to work out the kinks. So I doubt that Monday Night Football or the Chubb injury is going to be what makes them work out the kinks. What this does do is give them a sense of urgency. And if Deshaun Watson is serious about living up to that contract, and if Kevin Stefanski wants to keep his job, because if he loses, he's out, he knows this, then they have to have a sense of urgency about this thing, right? They have to understand, okay, this isn't just going to clean itself out with time, because I think that's been the assumption for a little while, is that time is going to fix this. We're going to sit here and time's going to fix this. You got to figure out a way to get it going faster. You got to find a way to overclock this process. So maybe that speeds up the sense of urgency, knowing that you don't have Nick Chubb there to bail you out for your first 4 or 5 weeks. You got to figure out a way to be comfortable now. And that's going to be what makes a difference when you lose Chubb, is that the sense of urgency between everybody involved with this passing game to fix it is going to be much, much, much higher. Jay says, hey, Q, I saw a clip a while back where Jake Trotter said everybody is under the impression that the passing game will be a bit of a late bloomer. Do you have any hope that there's truth to this, even when we kind of need us to start fast this season? Yeah, I can see this passing game getting better. The question is how much better, and how consistent can Deshaun Watson be? Is this just him adjusting to playing full speed football still? Or is this kind of what it is? Is it going to be like, hey, every once in a while, he's going to give you a stinker. He might give you a good game every few games. Like, did he drop a tier in quarterback play? Right? That's the question. Like, did the ceiling get lower on him since he's left football for that year and a half? That's really the question. He's going to have better games than he had on Monday. Like, that's not going to be every week with him. But the question is, where's the ceiling? That's the question. Dante, my bad. I don't know why I say don't. Dante Hartnett says, do you think there will ever come a point in the year the sub needs to be made this season? I'm going to be very honest. If things get chaotic in the NFL, anything's on the table. The only way I can see that a sub gets made in the season is if Deshaun plays specifically like that, like he played on Monday Night Football for like the next 6 weeks, and the Browns fall into like a 2-6 hole. Then I could see Kevin getting desperate and making a move at quarterback, because he knows he's going to get fired anyways. So that'd be a Hail Mary move. So only if things go the absolute worst they can go, and that Monday night game is how every game goes, then I could think DTR is going to be in. More than likely, he's going to play better than that. How much better is the question again? Ray Jackson says, how do you think DeJuan played against TJ? How impressed are you with Delpit so far this year? Super impressed with Delpit. I thought DeJuan played well. When I was going through the tape, I really didn't notice 79 making a bunch of mistakes. So that's good. Now, there's some things in between there that maybe he's not getting right, but that's stuff that only the offensive line coach would have access to the information if he's doing it right or not. Samuel Arnold says, do you think Schwartz can end up as the head coach if Stefanski cannot perform this season? Hey, look, man, if your issue is the offense, I don't see the point in firing all of your offensive people to hire Jim Schwartz and then putting who in charge on the offensive side. It just, firing your coach in the middle of the season, it rarely pays dividends. It usually is not a good idea. It's usually just better to let that thing go out to the end of the season, because what's the benefit of firing your coach in the middle of the season? It's like breaking your controller, right? That's what firing your coach in the middle of the season is. It's basically the football adult version of breaking your game controller because you're losing, right? It's just how you can demonstrate your frustration. So whenever you see somebody wanting to fire the coach in the middle of the year, just imagine somebody breaking their controller, because that's the same energy that goes behind it, right? Like, it's just breaking your controller. It doesn't benefit you at the end of the day, because when you break your controller, you have to get a new controller. Like, you just end up wasting money and time because you did something stupid because you were angry. That's what firing your coach in the middle of the season is. Rarely does breaking your controller lead you to a gold mine. He sees it all, says, as bad as Watson played, I just feel like in this one, Stefanski's not letting Watson loose. They're trying to run the 49ers offense with a elite playmaker like Watson, and who, by the way, went toe-to-toe with Mahomes when his team was the Goliath of the NFL. $2019? Mahomes was good in 2019, but we didn't know how good. Like, now the Chiefs are the Goliath of the NFL, but I want to say they were that in 2019. And then they blow a lead, especially with Chubb gone for the season. You just have to let it loose. Look, man, they're not being conservative with this passing attack. And this is not the same Shanahan style play action, be on time offense that it's been in the past. They've made adjustments. They're giving him throws that he wants. It's just, he's not seeing it. It's clear to me that there is a issue of comfort. He has not been in this offense long enough to be comfortable. He's clearly uncomfortable. He's gonna just need more games to get comfortable. 2, there's an issue of how the game's moving for him, right? Like, he's not comfortable. It's moving a little fast for him. It all needs to slow down. You give him more games, those things will come together. And again, the question isn't if he'll play better. He will play better. Nobody plays that bad the whole year. Maybe he does. If he does, then you just get rid of him. But he's going to play better. The question is, how much better does better look like? That's really it. Mata Beats says, why is Watson so hesitant to throw checkdowns? I guess he wants to make big plays, but he's absolutely in no rhythm. Deep throws have been off. Yeah, it's an issue of comfort, right? Like, he's trying to do what he's comfortable doing. He's trying to press downfield. And I think this has a lot to do with him getting back into not just game speed, but game situations and being in games where it matters. When he got in the last 6 weeks, it was more of an opportunity for him to work on stuff. And sometimes you could tell that he's been practicing a lot because some of his instincts are instincts you would have in practice, not necessarily with the specific situations that you have in games. And I know they work situational stuff in practice, but it's different when the situation dictates the practice. You know what I mean? And that's what the game is. The situation dictates everything you do. So sometimes he's not really thinking about what if we're getting beat fast? What if this is a quick situation? He's thinking about being in a lab, basically at practice, thinking, oh yeah, if I see this, I know I can get this, so I'm gonna throw this at this time. He's got to get used to the on-the-fly adjustments you're just gonna have to make during the game. But that's it for this Q&A. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night.